8 episodes of Invincible Season 3 have dropped, so today I'm going to be giving you my spoiler review thoughts. So, let's get straight into this. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek City, and today we're going to be talking about... So, I want to mention now, this is a spoiler review. If you have not already, if you cannot already tell from the title and the thumbnail and me talking right now, if you have not seen Invincible Season 3 yet, go do yourself a favor and check it out, unless you just don't care. So, I would love to have a fun discussion with y'all. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. No need to hold back. Spoil all you want. This is a spoiler review. So don't go in the comments if you haven't seen it, because you will be spoiled. So, what I kind of want to do here is just talk about my basic thoughts on the season, and then I'll kind of deep dive through each episode. So, what I think about the season. I thought this was the best season yet. And look, I know I've had a habit of kind of letting recency bias get in the way of things. I did it with Deadpool and Wolverine, where looking back, that movie is good, it's not great. I put it at number 4 on my X-Men ranking, realizing now that was a mistake. I let recency bias get in the way of things all the time, but I made sure that wasn't the case here. After all of Season 3 dropped, I rewatched all 3 seasons, like, back to back to back, in the span of a week, just to make sure that it wasn't recency bias. Like, I wanted to make sure this was actually, like, for real. And yeah, I do genuinely think this is the best season. How would I rank them? I don't really know. I don't know how I'd rank them. Maybe you'll get a ranking once we get like 4 seasons, and they'll be enough for me. Like three seasons isn't enough for me to rank them like in a video, but maybe YouTube short I can do that. But I love the season because I think this is when I think the comic books start off really solid, but I still feel like Robert Kirkman was trying to find his thing. But I feel like once you get to around issue 40 something, like 40 once Angstrom Levy gets introduced and you get the fight at the house, I feel like that's really when he starts to figure out the character. That's when you get Ryan Ottley just like doing the best. Oh my gosh, Ryan Ottley's artwork is insane. So I think that the first couple of volumes are good, but I feel like once you get Angstrom Levy and everything, that's when the comic really pops out. And so almost everything in this season adapts to some of my favorite comic lines in the story. Like some of my favorite storylines, like the Invincible War and the Conquest fight, and actually seeing that animated was just something that I never thought we'd actually get to see. So, let's kind of just deep dive. First thing I want to talk about first, before we get into it, is the animation. Because this has been a huge topic. Where I think Season 1 was good, it was pretty good animation. Season 2, I actually think improved it. Like, I rewatched that, and like that opening fight with Immortal and Invincible and Omni-Man was actually really good, and I think the animation actually improved. In this season, I do think it got worse. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I'm not trying to excuse it, but this season, you gotta think about it, this season only came out like a year after Season 2. And I would rather have every year get a season with the animation looking like 6 out of 10. I'd rather have every year getting a 10 out of 10 story with 6 out of 10 animation than having to wait 4 years every season. Like, I want this story I don't want to have to wait a decade for the story to finish. I want to be able to get one every year, which is their goal. So yes, the animation isn't the best, but you also have to remember, there's a reason that the animation in the first, 6 episodes or so aren't great. Because they saved the budget for episodes 7 and 8. Because 7 and 8, although the first couple episodes are pretty weak on a animation level, it's probably the weakest we've seen in the show. Episode 7 with the Invincible War and Episode 8 with the Conquest fight, they look so much better than anything we've seen. Like, some of the best fighting that we've seen from the whole show. So yeah, I think giving the budget to the bigger things, I actually am cool with. So I'm cool with the animation looking a little weaker, because we're getting it every year, so they didn't have as much time to work on it, and you're getting, 2 big fights that I think they did justice to. So the way they budgeted, the whole show. So I'm cool with the animation. I know some people just can't handle it. That's fine, I respect your opinion, but I'd rather us get one every year than having to wait years to get a season. Like, I just can't do that. I love the show so much, and I don't want to have to wait. Especially since next season's going to be the Viltrumite War, So let's actually deep dive into each episode here. I'm not going to talk too long about each of them. I'll have things to say. I thought episode 1 was. I like that they dropped 3 episodes at a time. Like, you got the first 3 together. Like, they dropped the first 3 as a group. I don't think that works because I think if they just dropped it every week, I wouldn't love the episode as much because I think the first 3 episodes do kind of go together. Where you have episode 1, you have like just reintroducing things and getting seeing Oliver get his powers, and then you get that really fun fight with Dr. Seismic where they're kind of losing, and that's when you get um, Cecil kind of showing his real backup plan with the reanimated corpses and Darkwing, and that sets up one of the big conflicts of the season. Is Invincible versus Cecil, which I remember I predicted in my I did a video a while back where I predicted where season 3 would go, and I don't think I did a pretty terrible job. I think I had Invincible War in episode 4. Looking back, I realized that was way too. That was me being really. No, that was a pretty bad idea. But one of the things I said was I want the first 2 episodes to be about the Cecil and Invincible conflict, and that's what we're getting here. You're getting the end of episode 1 is where you see it looks like they're about to battle, and then you get episode 2, which I really like because you have all that flashbacks where you really just see how Cecil as a character has changed. Where he used to be like Mark Cruz, bringing back villains and all that's a bad idea. But then you see over time, now that he runs the GDA, he's whatever I need to do. There's this line that he has that he says to Mark, where he's I'd rather you want to be the good guys or the guys that save the world. That's the thing where that really hits home, and Cecil's such a great character, and so I feel that episode really showed how he as a person has grown and changed, and how this world has just really made him into someone who's very not trustworthy. That's when you get the fight, and that's when you see the Guardians of the Globe disbanding, essentially splitting. You get the team thing, and this is when you just see how much these characters have changed. Where Rexplode, we'll get to more of Rexplode later, definitely. But as a comic reader who read all the comics, I knew that he kind of in the comics had kind of a character arc. They made him less of a jerk, but I think the show did 10 times better, and that's what I think you have an advantage with TV that you can't do with comics. Is you can breathe. There's a lot more breathing room. There's a lot more room for character modes. Where in comics, every issue you need to have fights and stuff going on. But with this show, you're able to have those breathing spaces. So in season 2, whenever you get Rexplode getting shot and everything, that's when you really see his character growing and how he feels bad about the cheating thing. And season 3, you really see that where he's fighting against Cecil and all the Guardians. Well, not all of them. But Bulletproof and Monster Girl and Robot, they're all fighting to help their friend here. And that's when you see, that really great scene where all of the Guardians of the Globe are fighting. And you see kind of everybody's different reasoning. Where Immortal's this is the most, this is the best team. But if you want to go, you have 2 hours to get all your stuff. And you have Shapesmith being I get a robot car, so I get a race car as a bed, so I'm going to stay here. And just kind of seeing how everybody's perspective is different. And you get that really cool scene with Black Samson and Robot where he's just tell the girl that you're leaving for her because of the Monster Girl and everything. But this is really where you see Rex's character arc and him standing up for Shrinking Ray, which is a story that very much over time we see more of. And we'll talk about that more. And then episode 3, they finally get Invincible finally gets the blue suit, which I don't know. Check out the Invincible merch we got here. We got Omni-Man, Adam Eve. We have these 2. I don't know if y'all can see them. They're tiny. They're custom. I got them at Comic-Con with custom Legos. You got Invincible and you got Omni-Man here. That's pretty cool. So you got those. You got I have Compendium 1 and 2. Compendium 3 I couldn't find room for, but it's here. Anyway, episode 3 you get the suit and you get Omni-Man, Kid Omni-Man Oliver. And that's when they finally kill off the Mahler twins. And the Mahler twins, I feel were used in the show a little too much, especially in season 1, where I feel in the comics, they actually did a better pacing-wise with, by the end of season 1, I was sick of the Mahlers. Luckily, you didn't see a lot of them in season 2. I liked how they were used in season 2. And in season 3, they finally get killed brutally with, Oliver. And this brings up that question, is another key theme of this season of, what line do you stop at, and that's a thing with Mark and his character arc here, is where you have him trying to convince Oliver that killing is bad, and you shouldn't do it, but Oliver brings up some good points, and you realize if Angstrom Levy was killed, none of the Invincible War would happen. You know, Rex Bud wouldn't die and everything, and you get like, you know, a lot of moments like that. And again, that whole arc that Mark goes through is leading back to the stuff with Cecil, where Cecil is willing to do anything it takes to protect you know, the world, and Invincible thinks there's a line you shouldn't cross. But by the end of the season, because of all the terrible stuff that happens to him, he's at a point now where it's like, I don't care who it is, I will kill them if they stand in my way. Like, just really showing how this whole season's, you know, you have Oliver and Invincible and Cecil and how they're all kind of at different areas. But Oliver, you know, he's like 1 year old. He's like 1 year old. In Earth, like, obviously he grows faster, so he's like 8. But in our, like, real Earth lifetime, he's like a couple months older. You got to think about that. But so I really dig that stuff to episode 3, and that's when you find out Angstrom Levy is spying on Invincible and his family. And then you get episode 4, which I really, really dug. But that's where you get the twins, and you get the future, you get Immortal, and he's like, please kill me, and Invincible's like, I don't want to. And I know people crap on Immortal, and Immortal's kind of a meme of the fan base where he, you know, he's always just like, you know, meat riding Cecil, but he like his mouth, he barks more than he can chew, like he loses every fight. And I don't know, I try to think of it from the perspective of like, this dude's been around forever, he's gonna be miserable, like everybody he loves has died, like, and that happened again with Duplicate in season 2. So, you know, I try to look at it from the perspective, like, you know, he's a grouch. He's pretty unlikable at times, but I don't know. He has his moments where he can, you know, be alright. But, I don't know. I don't hate Immortal. I don't like him, though, but I don't know. But yeah, he does lose every fight he's in. But I don't know. He's Abraham Lincoln. He freed the slaves, technically, so, you know, I can't, you know, crap on him too hard. He is Abraham Lincoln canonically in the comics and the show, so, you know. But you get, you know, that's when you see this even older Immortal, and he's ruled over Earth, and he and Invincible fight, and you just learn this. I think this really when it clicked to me, where like, I hated Immortal, but this scene of just seeing how broken down he is, where everybody he loves dies, and he doesn't want to live anymore. Because you got to think about it, man. I know people are like, oh, I'd love to live forever, and I couldn't see that. It'd be miserable. Everybody loves you're gonna just keep living, and everybody loves gonna die at some point. I feel like that'd be pretty miserable. So, you know, eventually has to, Invincible has to kill him. And that's when you get the second half of the episode that's even better, where you get, like, you know, Invincible and Adam Eve get a little freaky. You get that Invincible. She gets that Invincible, and that's when you get that was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. But that's when you get the stuff with Alan the Alien and Omni-Man. I want to talk about this here. So I don't forget. A lot of people didn't like. I've seen this. People are like, "Why is there not enough Omni-Man in this season?" Because people love Omni-Man, and I get it. He's a great character. But this is a point in the comics where you're not seeing a lot of him. He's in the prison and he's free. Like, after this episode, you don't really see a lot of Omni-Man for the rest of the season. But I assure you, all you people who haven't read the comics, this next season. It's the Viltrumite War. I'm not going to tell you too much about what that is or what the Viltrumite War is, but just know it's great. And just know you're going to be seeing a lot of Omni-Man. You're going to get him and Alan going to the planet and joining the coalition, and you're going to get a ton of Omni-Man next season, probably even more than you did in season 1. It's just season 3 and season 2 are adapting a point where he's kind of, you know, he gets captured and he's on himself. But anyway, in this back half of episode 4 is so much fun. You get Alan breaking out and trying to free Omni-Man. That's when you get Battle Beast again, and you're gonna get to see more Battle Beast. If you like Battle Beast, you're gonna get to see a lot more of him soon. And they have this really fun fight, and the Viltrumite, you know, prism like gets destroyed. And that's when you learn there's only like 50 Viltrumite, like pure blood Viltrumite. So there's actually a shot that the Viltrumite War could go in Alan's favor. So that's a really fun episode. You get episode 5, which was probably my least favorite episode. The stuff with Titan. I've never been the biggest fan of the Titan stuff. Like, I didn't love his episode in season 1. I think that's probably my least favorite episode of the whole show. But you get, like, Titan is now, like, in charge of that whole city. You get more Machine Head. Machine Head's a lot of fun. You get the dragon. It's fun. You get, you know, Adam Eve and Invincible running the little prison thing where they, like, working for the prison, essentially. It's fun. People say it's filler, and I guess it technically is, but it's a story arc that's in the comics, and it's being set up over a course of time. It's not just a throw-off episode that's never going to be brought up again. No, this is something they've been building up to, but not the biggest fan of it. And this isn't the last we're going to see of those guys, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. I need to reread the comics, but and then episode 6, I love this episode, and that's you get. Obviously, I'm just a huge Breaking Bad fan, so getting to see Aaron Paul, and a lot of people have made the memes of like, he's kind of screaming this whole episode because he's kind of going crazy. So people have turned it into like he can't keep getting away with this, because the whole episode he's just like, Invincible, I need to kill Invincible. And so people have turned the that scene from Breaking Bad where he's screaming and he's like, he can't keep getting away. So that's fun. I like the Aaron Paul Breaking Bad Invincible memes. But that whole arc from the comics, I think they did a really good job of adapting it. You get him trying to it went on a little too long. There's like 3 fight scenes with Powerplex before you actually get to Invincible fighting him. I think they could have reduced that down to the Shapesmith one and the Adam Eve one. There's a lot of Powerplex stuff that they could have cut out, but still a really good episode. And the ending's really heartbreaking, where you get his family getting electrocuted to death. And I forget to mention that all through like episode 4, 5, and 6, Rexplode and Shrinking Ray have been forming a relationship, and it's really sweet. Shrinking Ray, again, I know I keep bringing up the comics, sorry I have to, but for those who haven't read the comics, Shrinking Ray is like a one-off character. Like in the comics, he's a dude, and he gets like killed in the fight with the Lizard League, but he doesn't come back. He gets eaten, and that's it. Like he's kind of a throw-off character of the show. I wonder if since she was considering quitting, or she quits at the end of episode 7, or at the beginning, I wonder. I'm considering. I'm thinking, is she gonna come back, or is she done? I'm wondering. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with her, because by this point her comic character's dead, so they're just kind of. But I've liked what they've done with her since then. They made her a lot better than she was in the comics, so I'm interested in where they're gonna go with her, especially now that with Rex and everything. And at the end of the episode 6, you get the Invincible War, and having to wait a week for that Invincible War episode, and then even same for the Congress one. Oh man, that week felt like eternity, because I love the Invincible War. I don't know if it's my favorite arc in the comics, but it's top 5 for sure. It's short, but it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. But I think they did a great job. And again, I excuse the animation for the first 6. I know, well, not excuse, but I understand why it was weaker, because they definitely, you can tell from the shots are better, the actual fighting is way better. In episode 7 and 8, we'll talk about 8 in a second, but 7 and 8, especially 8, the budget, the animation is so much cleaner. It's a lot better. It's not choppy. It's a lot better. So I understand why the first couple episodes are a little less good than the first 2 seasons, because they used their budget smartly and divided it to where the 2 best arcs in the season get the most animation budget. But episode 7, it's so good, and I didn't know how they were going to top it. But maybe episode 8 did. I don't know. I'm still reconsidering. I guess I need to rewatch it again at some point just to figure it out. But you get the Invincible War, and the standout here with Rexplode dying, which I knew it was happening in the comics, but it still hurt. It still hurt. I think they did it even better because Rexplode was a lot better of a character in the show. I still like him in the comics. He's good, and they do a little bit of the stuff with the character arc. But again, since it's a TV show, you can do more. I think the performance of the voice actor, I forget his name, but I think that elevates him, and I think you got a lot more screen time with him. With like everybody messes up. To mess up is human. Well, he doesn't say mess up, but you know what I'm saying. Just season 2 and 3 made him a great character, and so you actually really like him. And then the Shrinking Ray stuff, where he's finally happy, which of course, again, I knew where it was going, and I was like, you're so mean. You're finally letting him be happy when you're gonna kill him off. And so you get him and Shrinky Ray kind of saying goodbye, but it's a terrible goodbye, because he's like, oh, I'll be back, and he's not. But he blows up a skeleton and kills one of the Invincible variants, and you get Billie Eilish playing, and it's so, oh my gosh, I almost cried, especially at the funeral, too. We'll get to that later, but oh man, when the bridge blew, I knew it was going to happen, but they did it so much better in the show. You get Billie Eilish, you sing that the heroes are losing, man. Invincible War is brutal. You get all these different Invincibles just destroying the world, and but you finally, I like what they did. They didn't do this in the comics, but in the show they really actually flesh out a lot of those Invincible variants, like the one that misses his mom, and the one that's in a relationship with William, and the one with the mohawk, oh, he misses his mommy, and the Sinister Mark where Kate Invincible was like, you're dead, and because of how much they actually kind of fleshed them out, or not a lot, but they there's been on Instagram like a lot of pages that have been created that are just used to comment on Invincible posts. So you'll see like one of like the hooded Invincible being like, "Oh, I miss my mom," like on random comments and stuff, like commenting, and then you get like the swearing doesn't make you cool and all these different variants that you actually kind of care about, even though they're terrible, and committing genocide. But then you get the fight with Angstrom, and again you could just see the animation where like the budget went to, but Angstrom escapes, loses an arm, and at the end of the episode you get I forgot to mention, you also see Britt here, Jonathan Banks playing Britt. So 2 Breaking Bad people. Maybe one day, the main man himself, Walter White, will show up. I'd love that. I'd kill for that, to see all that. But maybe we'll get Giancarlo Esposito to just get the whole crew. That'd be great. I highly doubt it. Just get all of Breaking Bad. But anyway, episode 8, you get the conquest stuff with Jeffrey D. Morgan, which I totally forgot that they announced Jeffrey D. Morgan. Because I remember when they were, like, a couple months ago before the season came out, they were rolling out, who was playing who, like, the kid from Cobra Kai, and Jonathan Banks, Aaron Paul, and all these people. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, who they're going to be playing. And I totally forgot they announced Jeffrey D. Morgan, because I thought Jonathan Banks was going to play Conquest. But then I forgot, as soon as Conquest shows up at the end of this episode, he's talking like Jeffrey D. Morgan. And I'm like, I totally forgot that, like, 2 years ago they announced that he was going to be in the show. Like, he posted a picture with him reading the Invincible compendiums, and he's like, doing my research. I totally forgot they announced him, because they didn't mention him whenever they were doing the rollout and, like, the press and all that. They didn't do that. So I think that was intentional, because I think most people forgot that he was in this in the cast now. So I think he did a great job. I know a lot of people were complaining, and people were like, "Oh, he doesn't sound like how he does in the comics," and I'm like confused. Like, can you hear Paper? Like, how he sounds great, especially in episode 8. And I think they made Conquest an even better character with, like, they added a lot of stuff like the "I'm so lonely" and the little heart thing that he makes with his blood or whatever that was. And that fight again, I think the Conquest fight was the best fight maybe in the whole show. It's so brutal. Both of Invincible's arms are, like, destroyed. His bones are shoved down. You get Adam Eve dying and then coming back to life, and she's naked. And I wish they did the thing that they did in the comics where Monster Girl, like, covers Rudy's eyes, because he is technically a kid. I think that would have been funny. But that whole fight, man, brutal. And then they have Rex's funeral, which a lot of people are crapping on because of the animation. And I think you could tell that by this point they ran out of animation budget because of the Conquest and Invincible War. So I think they didn't do it. The dialogue was good, changing his name to Rex and everything, but everybody in the funeral was just standing there like this. Maybe like a frown, but in the comics they're all like crying and just really feel that emotion. And in the show they don't do the best job with it. But again, I feel like by this point they spent all the budget. And then Adam and Invincible get freaky again. And they set up a bunch of plot lines for the future, like, why am I forgetting now? Cecil, hiding Conquest body, which, well, actually, I'm not going to spoil how that goes in the comics, but you can kind of figure it out. And then Damien Darkblood, they're going to do their own plot line with him that, in the comics, he's a throw-off character, but apparently they loved Clancy Brown so much, so in Season 4, apparently there's going to be an arc involving Damien Darkblood, which how do I feel about that? I don't know. I feel like you kind of just, you're adding stuff that doesn't need to be there. But if it's great, then I'll be cool with it. I'll have to see where Season 4 goes. So yeah, that's the season. I loved it. Thought it was great. I wanted to talk about a couple of things I wanted to address here. Some updates. I'll be doing more Invincible videos. And I also wanted to mention that Robert Kirkman did an interview where he said that their goal is he wants to do like 11 seasons. And I don't like that idea, because that's literally like the exact same thing that Walking Dead went through. Now, I know that Robert Kirkman has more creative freedom with Invincible than he did with Walking Dead. I think Walking Dead was just like so like they were just making such stupid decisions, and this is different because Robert Kirkman, the creator, is actually involved in the writing and stuff, so that's good. But I just feel like 11 seasons, you could do the show in like 6, 7, or 8 seasons. I think that's the right amount where It gives you time to develop the story, but you're also not overdoing it. 11 seasons is insane because at the current pacing they've done is like 2 seasons take up a compendium. Because like you get the first half of this compendium is the Omni-Man fight and the introduction to the Guardians Club, and then the second half is Angstrom Levy, all the stuff that you get in season 2. So at the current rate, 2 seasons per compendium, and so do the math. That's around 6 seasons because there's 3 compendiums. Around 6. They might make it like 7 or 8 just to adapt. You know, I'd be fine with that. But 11, that's gonna cause some pacing issues, which is what The Walking Dead went through. Terrible pacing. Love that show, but terrible pacing, and I don't want that to happen to Invincible, so I'm really nervous about that. Also, I'm gonna be working on a pretty big project here where I'm gonna reread this compendium and predict where I think season 4 is gonna go. I did this with season 3, but it was pretty bad. I think since then the production of the channel has gotten a lot better. I'm gonna really like deep dive into each episode, talk about my theories, talk about what's already been confirmed, and just do a really epic video. I really want to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this season. Spoil away. We can have fun discussions. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and I know I've been mentioning this in every video, but I just really want to stress it. I'm really close to being able to be monetized, and cause I just need like 100,000 more watch time hours, which sounds like a lot, but it can go by pretty quickly. And I don't think I can express like how helpful that would be, because then I can start covering more of the new omnibuses and hardcovers that come out. If I'm making money from YouTube, I could like order stuff like ASAP, and the reading orders would be a lot quicker. Like they wouldn't take as much time, because right now they take months for me to get all the books, but I'd be able to like have money. Like I'd be able to start saving for college and be able to increase the channel and production value and buy new equipment and stuff. I'd love to do that, but I'm not forcing you to like watch thousands and thousands of hours, but just want to let you know. So if you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, and as always, stay